Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fancy Sip Review. I am your host, the Fancy Sipper, and today on the Fancy Sip Review, I'm going to be trying Four Loko Red. Four Loko, if you did not know, is made by a company called Fusion Projects. A lot of people think that Four Loko is its own company, but Fusion Projects actually makes another whole line of flavored alcoholic beverages. That line is called Pirate Water, which is made by Barstool Sports. Now, as a refresher, or for people that don't live in America and don't have access to Four Loko is a company or a product that came out in 2005, which was popular with college-age people. It had both caffeine as well as alcohol in it, and it used to be called Blackout in a can, at least according to the media. Now, after a lot of people would get sick and end up in hospitals, the country decided that they were going to ban companies from mixing a depressant with caffeine, so now you can buy alcoholic energy drinks anywhere. Now, Four Loko, down but not out, decided that although they were going to remove the caffeine, they raised the alcohol percentage to 14%. Some states it's 12%, and it goes as low as 8%. Four Loko also has 4 different categories of flavors. The first category is the core flavors, which is fruit-based beverages like watermelon, grapefruit punch. But in those flavors is also 2 outliers, which is the Four Loko Red and the Four Loko Black. Now, although these are part of the core flavors, if the Fancy Sipper was in charge of marketing, I think that it would have been more interesting if Four Loko would have done a casino-themed campaign with the red and the black. Now, red and black are colors on roulette tables, so they could have done something along the lines of saying, what are you going to drink? Well, I'll bet on red or I'll bet on black in terms of the Four Loko flavors. Now, I'm not making a video for them. I've reached out to Four Loko about asking them questions. They never got back to me, so I'm not going to do their job for them. With that said, as a petty statement, Four Loko betting on black seemed to not work, as I have not seen Four Loko Black sold anywhere. Not that I'm saying the product itself was bad. I thought it tasted pretty decent. It tasted like a Mountain Dew. Now, other than the core flavors, the second line is the sour line. Some people like the sweetness of a Four Loko to mask the malted alcohol taste. Other people like me enjoy the sour taste. Growing up, I was a big fan of Charm Suckers, and my favorite flavor was the sour green apple, which Four Loko has a beverage that tastes identical to a Charm's sour green apple, which is my favorite Four Loko flavor. Other than that, Four Loko has the third line of flavors, which is their Innovation Series. The Innovation Series has one that has existed for a while, which is the Four Loko USA, which seems to be a success. Now, with that said, the Innovation Series is mostly failures on Four Loko's end. You have the Four Loko Frost and Blaze, which I've never had a chance to review. You had the hemp flavor, which I've had, which made me feel sick. And Four Loko, realizing that the people who are younger are moving away from flavored malted beverages like Twisted Tea and Mike's Hard Lemonade, and we're moving towards products like White Claw, made their own Four Loko seltzers, which completely failed, and I can't imagine people even know that those ever existed. Now, the final type of Four Loko is a weird half-pint, 200 milliliter beverage, which looks like something a ne'er-do-well would be walking around New York City sipping on. Now, nobody like the ilk of the Fancy Sipper would be caught dead drinking something like that, but, Four Loko, at least until recently, has been trying different things. Now, from what I've heard, this Four Loko Red will be a Swedish fish flavor. Swedish fish, I used to think, was a cherry-flavored candy. till I looked it up recently, and it's a lingonberry flavor. Lingonberry, I've tried only once in my life when I reviewed the PewDiePie G Fuel flavor. Now, a lot of people hate Four Loko. I think that for what they are, they're all right beverages. I mean, if you're going to be drinking an alcohol pop like Natty Rush or the Steel Reserve Alloy series, Four Loko is going to be a little bit more expensive, have a higher alcohol percentage, and I mean, sometimes doesn't taste terrible. You're always going to get that malted taste. It's just, are you going to mask it with the sour or the sweet? Now, I've wasted 5 minutes talking about the company of Four Loko. They're good and they're bad, and I think it's time for me to actually review the Four Loko Red. So, in a Four Loko Red can, you are getting 660 calories. That's a lot of calories. You are getting 23.5 ounces. 14%. This is what the can looks like. It says Four Loko Red. It is their classic camo color. It says We ID, which is more something that a store would say, not a can. Doesn't really make any sense. The alcohol facts are intentionally left in a confusing way, in which I've seen people not even know how many drinks are in these cans. It says that a serving size is 5 fluid ounces. This isn't even 25 ounces, so you can't even multiply it by 5. But I don't know. I mean, that's on them to redecide the cans one day. This is brewed in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I only know La Crosse, Wisconsin because there's a YouTube channel called Code Blue, which only shows arrests in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Memphis, Tennessee, home of somebody that I know. And it's under special agreement with Latrobe, Pennsylvania. If anybody knows where I could get a Four Loko Black, I will jump at buying it to review it because I've only had good memories of it. I want to pour this right now and give my review of it. So the first thing that I'll say is this is a very red color to it. It looks like it could be the color of a fruit punch, but it's just a red color. I mean, I want to say that the color is different than the fruit punch red, but it's not. See what this smells like on the nose. It doesn't smell like the smell of a cherry, so this is probably the taste and smell of a lingonberry. This is a European fruit. I don't think that this is grown in America, but it does have a very distinct fruity smell to it, which does smell like something that would taste good. Let me give this the fancy sipper first sip, give my first thoughts on the mouthfeel, the base notes, and the finish. You are getting very strong malted alcohol mouthfeel, or feel. It's hard to even say after tasting that. Now the sweetness of the lingonberry flavor, which this Four Loko is supposed to be a Swedish fish flavor, but I don't want to say it's just Swedish fish flavor because it's kind of dishonest as a review of its own standalone beverage. If I were to review the black, I would not compare it to a Monster. It seems kind of unprofessional as a beverage reviewer. But not knowing anything about lingonberry, it has a very unique taste as a fruit. Now, I don't know what a lingonberry tastes like, but this tastes like a candied fruit, kind of in the way that if you were to buy peaches in a can, it would taste different than that of an actual peach. This has a very artificial sweetness in which it's probably different than that of the actual fruit. Give this one more try. Now on the second sip, you're still getting that very strong malted taste. When you wait a little bit, the base notes of the lingonberry do arrive. I think that this is a very decent flavor. I mean, the Fancy Sipper has reviewed like 6 different orange beverages, and it's very hard to differentiate them. Comparing this to the G Fuel PewDiePie Lingonberry flavor, this tastes much more sweet. That tastes much more bitter, but that's due to the carbonation. I think that this is a very decent fruity taste. Now, I would prefer this over the fruit punch. I would prefer this over the lemonade, but I think it's a preferential thing. Give this one more try, give my final thoughts, and let you know what I review or what I give as a review of the Four Loko Red. Letting this sit in your mouth really causes a lot of the malted flavors to come up, which causes a kind of a sickening flavor, which makes me feel phlegmy in my throat. Now, if I'm just to drink this, just drink it as a sweet, sugared, malted alcohol drink with 14% alcohol, you're not getting that malted taste as bad. Now, you're not going to be sipping this like a fine scotch. This is just a bum wine, for better, for worse, to describe it. But in terms of the flavor, I don't think the flavor is that bad. I think what is holding this drink down is the malted taste. Now, the malted taste is sickening due to the high alcohol percentage. I mean, if you were going to drink something like a 4% beverage comparatively to rectified alcohol, like no matter what you put in the rectified alcohol, it's going to taste like a poison. Now, with the 14% alcohol, I don't know if I were to review this somewhere else in a state in which the percentage is only 8%, if this would taste sweeter, but I do think if you were going to drink this, just drinking it quicker, as if you were going to be just drinking a soda with a meal, or drinking a pink Moscato or something on a nice picnic at Central Park or something like that. I don't think this is a bad flavor. I do have my grievances with Four Loko, but I'm not going to let that blind my personal opinion of this flavor. I think this is probably the best of the core flavors. I don't think this hits the marks of the sour blue raspberry or the sour green apple. I think this does taste on par with the lemonade. I think this does taste better than the vodka Red Bull flavor of the Four Loko Gold. I'm going to give this a 8.9 out of 10. Now, I can give this a 9 out of 10. I want to leave that for the highest of quality of Four Lokos. I think if I were to go off memory of the Four Loko Black, that might be a 9.5, just based on the memory of enjoying that. But I think the Four Loko Red hits the mark in terms of a nice, tasty core flavor that doesn't have any acidity. It's not going for anything silly like the hemp did. I think that it's just going to be, hindered based on the malty 14% alcohol. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great day, and cheers from the Fancy Sipper.